Hi everyone, this is Kannababu from Sathya Technologies. Right, today we are discussing about SQL Server. Right, if anybody is not unable to connect, you can join through YouTube also, YouTube Live also. It is available. If any of your friends having any problems are there to join the meeting, you can join with YouTube. Okay. So we already know that first of all, whenever we learn any database, first of all, we need to start with what is data. Is it clear? First of all, you must know what is data. Data is nothing but a collection of raw facts. Is it clear? Data is nothing but a collection of raw facts. So whenever we want to perform any operations on data, we need to store the data. In order to store the data, we require some memory. This memory is basically divided into two types, temporary memory and other one is permanent memory. Temporary memory means RAM. Permanent memory means hard disk. Is it clear? Temporary memory means what? RAM. Permanent memory means hard disk. If you want to store the data permanently in hard disk, you have to store the data either in the form of files or in the form of database. So you can ask me, sir, why two memories are there? Means if you want to perform any operations, then RAM is important. RAM is required to perform any operations on data. And storage purpose, if you want to store the data permanently, then hard disk is required. Is it clear? So whenever you want to perform any operations on data, we need to store the data. In order to store the data, we require some memory. This memory is basically divided into two types. One is temporary memory, other one is permanent memory. And again, whatever you save in your computer, my computer, you can see my computer consists of C drive, D drive, E drive. These all consists of what? Files. That file is also database only. Is it clear? Sorry, in file also hard disk only. So actually, files means what? .txt file, .doc file, .pdf file, .jpg file, .mp3 file, .png file, .mdf file, lot of file LDF files. Lot of files are there. Code related files are there. Data related files are there. Generally, files are again divided into two types. One is data related files, other one is code related files. Code related files means .html file, .js file, .java file, .aspx file. These are different types of files. So files consist of what? Data. So generally, whenever you want to perform any operations on data, we need to store the data. Is it clear? In order to store the data, we require some memory. How much memory is required? That memory is again divided into two types. One is temporary memory and permanent memory. Temporary memory means RAM. Permanent memory means hard disk. So if you want to store the data permanently, we'll have two options. One is files, other one is what? Database. Files and what? Database. So accessing the data from the file is difficult. For example, you store the data in the files. So retrieving the data, reading the data from the file, performing operations on files, we need to write programs by using C language, Java, or C# or Python. Is it clear? Communication with file is very difficult. In olden days, people used only file-based management system is there. But accessing the data is very difficult with file. We have to write huge amount of what? Code. Did you understood? So that is the reason day by day what happened? Databases came into the picture. Is it clear? Like Oracle, SQL Server, these all are the database softwares they are entered in the market. But nowadays again there is a boom for files because nowadays a separate data is coming in the market. Data is basically divided into two types: structured data and unstructured data. Is it clear? Your Facebook likes, that is also data. Your YouTube comments, that is also data. Nowadays, streaming data is entered in the market. Continuous flow of data. These type of data definitely will go for files only. Did you understand? Streaming data means continuous flow of data. So anyway, that's the point I told. So data is collection of raw facts. So simply I can tell some points here. What are the points I will discuss here? Let us see. Okay, now first I'm discussing about what is data. Simply I can tell data is collection of raw facts. Data is collection of raw facts. Is it clear? Next I can ask you, what is database? Is it clear? Database is collection of information. Database is collection of information. Okay, na? Collection of information. Now you may get doubt, sir, what is information? Information means the data belongs to a particular organization. Meaningful data is called as information. Generally, here you see, data is meaningless, information is meaningful. When you, data is always input. When you process the data, you will get what? Some information. What are following? In technical point of view, what you can simply tell means, for example, if I am developing a project for a particular college, where I want to maintain the student details, where I want to maintain the employee details, where I want to maintain the, you can consider something like some course details, department details, some branch details, some library details. Is it clear? Lab details, examination details. These all are the data belongs to a particular organization. I want to develop a project for a particular college. The college application want to become automated. Is it clear? Now the college management want to develop an application. Though it is a web application, initially database will play the major role. Is it clear? So the data belongs to that particular organization. You can call as one database. Is it clear? The data belongs to that particular organization. Keep in one database. So in database, the data will be stored in the form of tables. Similarly, if I want to develop a project for a particular hospital, where I want to maintain the what doctor details, I want to maintain the doctor details, I want to maintain the patient details, I want to maintain the inquiry details, I want to maintain the lab details, pharma details. Is it clear? Some lab details, some inpatient details. Lot of information is there, belongs to that particular hospital. So the data belongs to that particular hospital. You can keep in one database, some hospital database. So you can simply tell database is collection of information. Is it clear? The data belongs to a particular organization. You can call as an information, and that data you can keep in one database. Did you understand, everyone? Similarly, you can go for what any application, IRCTC application is there. IRCTC, Indian Railways application is there. Customers will book the tickets. Customer can cancel the tickets. Customer will search for the train details, check the PNR status. Customer can try to the railway employees will try to add the train details, cancel the train details. Like it is a big organization. So the total data belongs to that particular IRCTC. Keep in one database. So database is collection of information. In database, the data will be stored in the form of tables, which is collection of rows and columns. Did you understand, everyone? So first of all, here you must know about what is SQL Server. Is it clear? So we already know about what is data, what is database. Database is collection of information. Now here I will give you one question, something like what is database software? What is database server? Simple point I will give. What is database server? I can simply tell database server is a software. Okay, na? Database server is a software which is used to manage databases. It is a software which is used to manage databases. If you take any organizations like Big Bazaar or any big organizations, forum malls and everything, their huge amount of data will be there. The customer, it is very difficult for the customer to identify the required data. Customers, a lot of products are there in Big Bazaar and Amazon and forum mall and every other shopping malls. So it is difficult for the customer to identify the items. So there some supervisors will be there. So the customer, once when he visit to that mall, he will ask, I'm looking for some groceries. So he will guide you, sir, go to first floor. Or we are looking for some furniture items, go to third floor, second floor, something like that. So what that person is doing, that person is managing the data that is available in that shopping mall. In that shopping mall, some 1 lakh items will be there. So that is nothing but in order to manage that particular total data that is available in the shopping mall, one software is required, that is database software. or database server. Database server is a software which is used to manage what? Databases. Example for database servers are what? SQL Server. Similarly, Oracle. Similarly, MySQL. Okay, now these all are the database servers. You can go for some MongoDB. Okay, now lot of databases are there. Some Sybase, lot of database softwares are there. So database server is a software which is used to manage what? Databases. Database server is a software which is used to manage databases. So what is SQL Server? SQL Server is a database software. Okay, now which is used to manage what? Databases. SQL Server is a software which is used to manage what? Databases. Are you following, everyone? So here let us see. Did you understood? Oracle is also a software. SQL Server is a software. Oracle is a software. MySQL is a software. These all are different types of database softwares. These all are different types of database softwares. Did you understood? It is a software which is used to manage what? Databases. So in order to interact with why this database is required? If you take ICICI Bank, ICICI Bank will have a lot of customers are there. Some 10 million, some millions of customers are there for ICICI Bank. All these customers' information is stored in where? Database. Okay, na? Similarly, if you take IRCTC, all the train details, all the booking details, all the cancellation details, all the PNR status details and everything, all these information is stored in one database. Amazon is having databases. Flipkart, eBay, bookmyshow.com, all the tickets and everything are stored in database. So generally every application, maximum every application requires what? Databases. Are you following? Any database softwares like Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, these all are the database softwares which are used to manage what? Databases. Which is used to manage what? Databases. Are you following? So now here you must know what is SQL. Again, you must know one more point about three things. You must have that clarity. What is SQL? Here I can simply tell SQL is a language. SQL is a language which is used to write queries. Which is used to write queries to interact with database. To interact. SQL is a language. SQL Server is a software. SQL is a language which is used to write queries on databases. Is it clear? So what operations we can perform? What operations we can perform? Or simply why to interact with databases? Why to interact with databases? Mostly we'll try to interact with databases to perform CRUD operations. To perform what? CRUD operations or CURD operations. Mostly C means create actually. Create. Okay, na? R means retrieve. R means retrieve. Okay, na? U means update. C means create. R means retrieve. U means what? Update. Are you following, everyone? And here D means delete. D means what? Delete. So we can perform 4 types of operations. These 4 operations are called as CRUD operations. For example, if you register in your Facebook, your data will be saved in the database, Facebook database. Or if you want to order any food in Swiggy or Zomato, then we are performing mostly which operation? Select operation, search operation. Generally, we'll try to perform only 4 types of operations: insert, update, delete, as well as select. If you want to store the data, you have to write the insert query. If you want to read the data, you have to write select command. Delete the data, delete command. Don't try anything, please. Don't use this painting. I'll remove you from the group. Please don't draw. It will disturb the class. Okay. So in database is a software which is used to manage what? SQL Server is a software which is used to manage databases. Are you following? See, for example, here let us assume that here I have one database. Let us assume that here I have one database. In database, the data will be stored in the form of tables, which is collection of rows and columns. In database, the data will be stored in the form of tables, which is collection of rows and columns. For example, here I have one table with name EMP with the columns E number, E name, and salary. I think everyone know about rows and columns. 101 Anil and 20,000. Here I'll give 102 James and 30,000, something like that. Are you following, everyone? This is my database. In database, the data will be stored in the form of table, which is a collection of rows and columns. Are you following? In database, the data will be stored in the form of what? Table, which is a collection of rows and what? Columns. I think everyone know about row. Can you tell me the number of rows that are available? Horizontal is called as row. Vertical is called as column. So number of rows, how many? 2 rows are there. This is first row. This is second row. Number of columns, how many? 3 columns are there. Is it clear? Vertical is called as column. Horizontal is called as row. Did you understand, everyone? So here we see the intersection of row and column is called as cell. The intersection of row and column is called as cell. This is cell. Intersection of row and column is called as cell. This is what all of you cell. Are you following? So this is horizontal is what? Row. This is what? Row. Vertical is what? Column. This is your row. Are you following, everyone? And here vertical. Vertical is nothing but what? Column. This is your column. From the column 1, column 2, column 3. The intersection of row and column is called as cell. The intersection of row and column is called as what? Cell. Did you understand? So in databases like SQL Server, Oracle, we need to store the data in the form of tables. So now if you want to perform any operations with the database, like if you want to insert the record or delete the record or search the record or update the record, whenever you want to perform any operations on databases, we have to write some queries. Why to perform operations? To fetch the data. Why to perform operations? To fetch the data. Or to perform any other operations, we have to use what? Some SQL queries. So what is SQL? SQL is a language which is used to write the queries to interact with databases. SQL is a simple English query language. You can pronounce as SQL. You can pronounce SQL as what? SQL. Did you understand? Here you can pronounce SQL. Simple English query language. Or sometimes you can call it structured query language. It's English without grammar is simple English. Okay, now, so what I'm telling here, this is SQL Server. SQL Server is a software. Oracle is also a software. SQL is a language, query language, not programming language. Now, in order to write the queries, one editor is required. If you want to write a C program, one editor is required, Turbo C. Java program, Edit Plus is required. If you want to write a .NET program, some Visual Studio editor is required. If you want to write a Python program, some IDLE editor is required. So generally, in order to write the queries, some editors are required. So the editor that we'll use is SQL Server Management Studio. SQL Server Management Studio. Oracle, you have SQLite, something like that. Editor. 3 things are there. Don't confuse. Okay, now don't confuse with these 3 words. One is SQL Server. Other one is SQL. Another one is SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, na? SQL Server is a database software which is used to manage databases. SQL is a language which is used to write the queries. SQL Server Management Studio, it is an editor which is used to write a queries. SQL is a language. Java is a language. But if you want to write a program in Java, one editor is required. Is it clear? Python is a language. Any language is there, you learn. In order to write the programs, one editor is required, right? You know English language. But in order to write the English, one book is required, one pen is required. Similarly, in order to write the queries, one editor is required. That is SQL Server Management Studio. I hope you understood. Database means the place where the data is saved permanently in the form of tables, and in database the data will be stored in the form of what? Tables. Did you understood? So what I'm telling here, I will write here. You see, what is SQL Server? I told you. Is it clear? What is SQL Server? Simply I will write again once again. Here I will write one question. What is SQL Server? Simply I will write SQL Server is a database software. SQL Server is a database software which is used to manage databases. SQL Server is a database software which is used to manage databases. Okay, now what is SQL? SQL is a query language which is used to write queries. Structured query language. SQL is a structured query language which is used to write queries. Next year I will ask one more question. What is SQL Server Management Studio? What is SQL Server Management Studio? It is an editor. It is an IDE. IDE means what? Integrated Development Environment. Or simply you can write it is an editor. It is an editor which is used to write queries. Did you understand? In order, if any developer directly want to speak with what databases, you have to write some queries. In order to write the queries, one editor is required. What is that one? SQL Server Management Studio. Don't confuse with these three things. SSMS. People will call this one as SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. So who can learn SQL Server means anyone can learn. .NET developers can learn. Testing tools developers can learn. Microsoft Business Intelligence, MSBI developers can learn. Power BI developers can learn. Azure developers can learn. Is it clear? Even any developer, either Java developer or .NET developer, any developer must have the knowledge on one database. Any developer who will start their career with database, then definitely your domain knowledge will improve. Your way of thinking will improve. Main problem in the software company is understanding the requirement. Your manager will give you one requirement, but you will feel difficulty to understand that particular requirement. That is the main problem. So your domain knowledge, this session also I will teach you based on real-time project I will take and we'll discuss. Okay, not on numbers. Directly we'll discuss on one real-time project. Is it clear how to work with this SQL Server? I hope you got clarity on difference between these three things. What is the first point? What is SQL Server? Second point, what is SQL? Third point, what is SQL Server Management Studio? These three are totally separate. SQL Server is a database server. It is a software which is used to manage databases. SQL is a language which is used to write queries to interact with databases. Okay, na? SQL Server Management Studio. It is an editor. It is what all of you? It is an editor, SSMS, to write the queries. Are you following everyone? So generally, are you following everyone? Okay. So obviously SQL Server is a product of Microsoft. Microsoft developers will love SQL Server, mostly .NET developers, SQL DBA developers, Azure developers. Okay, now MSBA, Power BI developers, a lot of developers can learn SQL Server. Okay, testing tools developers also, they will test the database, testing will be there. They must also have the knowledge on SQL Server. Generally, Oracle, SQL Server both looks like similar, just the syntax difference will be there. Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, all looks like similar, not same. Some minute syntax differences will be there between all these things. I hope you understood. Asana everyone. So generally, whenever you want to work with any Python developers, in olden days, actually SQL Server, Oracle, this all comes under RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. So establishing the relationship between the tables. Initially, DBMS is there, Database Management System. In DBMS, data is stored in the form of table, but relations are, it is not possible to establish the relations between the tables. Primary key, foreign key relationships are not available. Later, RDBMS came, Relational Database Management System. These relations is established between the tables, primary key, foreign keys, and everything. Later, what came? This topic came. ORDBMS came, Object Relational Database Management System. Now the current trend is RDBMS and ORDBMS. Both are booming. Your MongoDB is ORDBMS only. Data will be stored in the form of what? Objects. That we'll see later. Are you following, everyone? So this is what I'm discussing here. Sir, no. Yeah, here I think. And here that's I told you that here I divided the SQL Server syllabus into two parts. One is basic SQL, other one is TSQL. Okay, na? In basic SQL, what I will cover means introduction to SQL Server, operators, data types, language commands like DML command, DDL command, DRL command, TCL command, DCL commands. Lot of language commands are there. Constraints are there, like primary key constraint, unique key constraint, checked constraint, default constraint, composite primary key constraint, foreign key constraint, not null constraint, null constraint, composite primary key constraint. Like we'll discuss about constraints, very powerful topic, constraints. Next we'll discuss about joins, retrieving the data from multiple tables, inner join, outer join, left outer join, right outer join, full outer join, cross join, self join, equi-join, non-equi-join, lot of joins are there. Later we'll discuss about subqueries. Query inside another query is subquery. Mostly important interview questions will come from subqueries. How to delete the duplicate records from the table. How to display the fifth maximum salary of an employee. How to display the first record, last record. All these things will cover in subqueries. And then we'll discuss about classes like order by class, group by class, from a class, with class, where class, having class. Different classes are there in SQL. We'll cover all those things. Next, we'll discuss about indexes, cluster index and non-cluster index. Next, we'll discuss about views, simple views, complex views, all these concepts. Next, normalization is also very important. How to design the database in a proper manner. Very powerful normalization. I will explain you. Next, ER diagrams, entity relationship diagrams. Diagrammatical representation of database is ER diagram. Next, we'll discuss about very powerful topic, predefined functions like row number function, rank function, mathematical functions, string functions, some new ID functions, colesic function. Lot of functions are there. Okay, now we all will discuss all about that functions. So this is the basic SQL. Basic SQL syllabus is this. Next, coming to TSQL. TSQL means this total basic SQL, you have to just write the queries. No need of any programs. Mostly Java developer, .NET developer, these people will use SQL only mostly. But if they want to write any programs, they will write Java or .NET programs, and their programs will interact with databases. No problem with query. But some developers, mostly BI developers, business intelligence developers, Power BI, SQL DBA developers, a lot of jobs will be there only on database also. Those people, they will write programs because they don't have any knowledge on other technologies. So they must also have the knowledge on TSQL. But stored procedures is very, very important. Any developer, web application developer, maximum when you attend for third round, first round, second round, they will check your basic logical skills and everything. Once when you went to third round, most questions are from database only, because third round mostly high level management will be involved, project managers and everyone. They don't have the command on programming languages like Java, .NET. Their focus is only on databases. They will ask, because a lot of logic, your logical skills can be identified easily in SQL. Display the nth maximum salary of an employee, display the arrange all the employees in ascending order, who got more than 80%, something like that. Lot of queries, lot of logic, more time in the companies, mostly in the companies, they will test your database knowledge only. Nothing is there in front end. Okay, I am also a .NET developer, .NET trainer, Angular trainer, Python trainer. I can teach everything, but the main point is what? I love database. I improved my self-learning skills only with the support of database knowledge. So I recommend the same to all the students also. Don't consider database in a easy manner. It will give you lot of domain knowledge. Are you following? So today I told you about what? Only one point I told you. Three things I told you. What is SQL Server? What is SQL? What is SQL Server Management Studio? SQL Server Management Studio is an editor. So it is very easy to install the softwares also. You can directly download the softwares and you can install. We'll see that one later. Now, did you understand? So in database, I don't want to teach any histories like what happened in olden days. If there is no database, so people use it to maintain the data in the books. Suddenly, a big rain came or tsunami came, books are collapsed. So it is very difficult. That is old style. Current style of learning is whatever you want to explain to the interviewer, you have to explain within 5 seconds. That's it, 5 to 10 seconds. Don't tell stories. Interviewer will not love stories. He will love the direct bullet answer. Did you understand what he is expecting? You have to tell that point. You have to explain the point, not story. Okay, na? So what is SQL Server? SQL Server is a software, database software which is used to manage the databases. Okay. What is SQL? SQL is a language which is used to write the queries. What is SQL Server Management Studio? It is an editor which is used to write the queries. SQL is a language. After learning the language, you have to write the queries. In order to write the queries, one editor is required. That is Management Studio. Did you understand? If you want to know how to install SQL Server, you can watch my video. Just YouTube, you can watch SQL Server installation by Kannababu. You watch, you can get. Okay, na? That we'll discuss later. Anyway, next session I will give clarity on that. Are you following? So that's first of all, whenever you want to learn databases, first of all, did you understand? I think you got clarity on the database now. Database means the place where the data is saved permanently in the form of tables, which is collection of rows and columns. Collection of rows and columns. This is the syllabus of SQL. I will cover all these things. This session is completely a free batch. Anyone can join. Utilize this opportunity. You may not get this opportunity again. Did you understand? That is about SQL Server, SQL and SQL Server Management Studio. See, database server, is it clear? Database server is not user friendly. Actually, database is not user friendly. End user cannot directly interact with what? These databases. Databases are not user friendly. End user cannot directly communicate with what? Databases. Is it clear? Because if end user want to communicate, if anyone want to interact with databases, we have to write the queries. We have to write what? Queries. If you want to communicate with the database, we have to write what? Queries. Are you following? If you want to interact with the databases, you have to write some what? Queries. So database server is not user friendly. Your SQL server, Oracle, MySQL, they are not user friendly. End user cannot directly communicate with these databases. Definitely, you must have the knowledge on one language, that is SQL. So it is very difficult. If you take banking applications, all the banking data is stored in the database. You take shopping cart applications, e-commerce applications, all the data is stored in the database. But database server is not user friendly. For example, if your father want to withdraw the amount in the ATM, you cannot ask your father, you have to write the query, update table name, set balance is equal to balance minus 5,000, where account number is equal to so and so. Is it clear? It is not recommended for the end user. End user means who? the employees who are working in the company, they are called as end users. Or the customers of that particular organization, they are called as end users. If you take a banking application, ICICI Bank application, if you take, who are the end users of ICICI Bank application? The customers of bank. The customers of ICICI Bank are called as end users. And the employees of that ICICI Bank, they are also called as what? End user. End user don't have any knowledge on programming. End user cannot directly interact with database softwares. End user don't have the knowledge on what? SQL Server or Oracle or any other languages, you don't have the knowledge. So what to do? We have to, but that is we have to develop some web applications. We have to develop some what? Web applications. Did you understand, everyone? So who will develop that web application? Are you following, everyone? And database server is not user friendly. Are you following? Database server is not user friendly. End user cannot directly interact with these databases. Okay, na? So if you want to communicate with these databases, every application requires database. So if end user want to directly communicate with the databases, we have to develop some applications. We develop some applications called as some web applications, either by using Java or .NET or PHP or Django. Okay, na? Developers, you all are developers. Developers will develop some web applications. Okay, na? Like Flipkart, IRCTC, ICICIbank.com, eBay.com, Amazon.com, Bookmyshow.com, IRCTC.com. These all are applications. These all applications will communicate with what? Database. These all applications will communicate with database. So you are a developer, no? Who are you? You are a developer. Which developer? Java developer or .NET developer or PHP developer or Django developer. Now these all developers must speak with database. So every developer, every web application developer must have the knowledge on what? Databases. Did you understand? Sometimes what happens, some high level management will be there. In that case, no need of these applications. Directly they will interact with databases. MSBA developer, Power BI developer. Okay, na? These all people, SQL DBA developer, administration side will be there. They must also learn SQL Server. Did you understood? So now here end user will open what? Browser. End user don't know anything about database. End user, for example, ICICI Bank employee is there. ICICI Bank application is developed. After developing the application, the bank will give training to the employees. Bank will give training to the employees of that ICICI Bank. Did you understood? Are you following what I'm telling here? If you ICICI Bank, what they will do? They will develop what? Application. Is it clear? And after developing, the bank will not develop the application. Software company will develop the application. Okay, na? ICICI Bank is the client. So once when the application is developed, the company will give trainings to the employees how to use that application. So the employee of the bank is called as end user, and the customer of the bank is called as end user. If you take banking application, my current balance details or everything is stored in where? Database only. Okay, na? But database server is not user friendly. Okay, na? So we have to develop some applications. That is the reason every web application developer must have the knowledge on database. Sir, I am a Java developer. Java developer also must have the knowledge on database. Your Java program must speak with database. .NET program must speak with database. PHP program must speak with database. Python, Django program must speak with database. But mostly Java developers will use Oracle and MySQL. .NET developers will use SQL Server. PHP developers will use MySQL. Django developer will use mostly MySQL and MongoDB. Okay, now these all are different databases. So at least one developer, one database knowledge is required. Are you following? So in order to design these database and everything, are you following, everyone? Yes or no? Did you understand? So as a developer, it is responsibility to learn databases. Or if it is very, very easy to learn SQL, very simple language. Okay, single line queries only. Anyone can learn. No need of degree also. Just a fifth class student also can learn. Huh? Nowadays, Python also kept in all the schools also. Programming became very easy nowadays. The only one people who is feeling difficulty is you people only. That is why companies are giving jobs to school students also. Is it clear? The very easiest job in the entire world is software job only. If you really concentrate. Did you understand? Very easy is SQL. Okay, na? So I think you understood. Right? So your application want to communicate with databases. That is the reason. So this is SQL Server class, database server, the place where the data is saved in the form of tables, which is collection of rows and columns. Are you following everyone? So yeah, now let us see. I will show you how to open the SQL Server softwares. As I told you, what are the softwares that are required to install SQL Server? Two softwares you have to install. One is SQL Server. Another one is SQL Server Management Studio. Two softwares are required. SQL Server. Other one is what? SQL Server Management Studio. Two softwares are required. Once when you install SQL Server, then automatically Management Studio is also installed. So after installing the SQL Server, what to do? Let us see. See, I will try to open. Go to start. I installed both the softwares. So here you can go to start and type here SQL Server. I already installed the software, so you can see here. There are different versions are there. We'll discuss versions in the next class. Just I'm showing you how to open your SQL Server. Here already it is there. Two versions are there with me, but just I'll show you. SQL Server 2008 R2. That is one version is there. And here I have one more, that is SQL Server Management Studio. Here you see, I will show you. Here you see SQL Server Management Studio. SQL Server 2014 Management Studio. Just click on that window. That is an editor actually. Backgroundly SQL Server is also there, which is used to manage the databases. It's a product of Microsoft. Microsoft SQL Server 2014. Did you understood? Yeah, but finally you must have that Express edition is required. Now here you see, whenever you open your SQL Server, it is asking, you can see some dialog box. First it is asking for server type. It is asking you why you want to learn SQL Server. Yeah, you want to use SQL Server like a database, or if you want to use SQL Server like analysis services, reporting services, integration services. Mostly MSBA developers, Power BI developers, they will learn SQL Server like SSIS, SQL Server Integration Services, SSAS, SQL Server Analysis Services, SSRS, SQL Server Reporting Services. Who will learn? Data warehousing developers like MSBA developers or Power BI developers or SQL DBA. They must have the knowledge on all these things. If you are a application developer like a .NET developer or Azure developer, any testing tools or anyone, even MSBA developer also must have the knowledge on database engine. Mostly front-end developers will use SQL Server like database engine. Especially MSBA, Power BI developers will use like SSIS, SSRS, SSAS. Okay, now we all will learn. It is asking you, please select your option. Why you want to use SQL Server? I want to use SQL Server like a database engine. Did you understand? When you install SQL Server, inbuilt Management Studio will be available. Now, second option you can see it is asking server name. It is asking where your SQL. This is not SQL Server. What I opened is SQL Server Management Studio. Backgroundly SQL Server is there. Okay, now server name it is asking in which computer your SQL Server was installed. That computer name it is asking. Okay, na the name of the computer where your SQL Server was installed. Are you following? Here you can go to my computer. Where is my computer? Right click, go to properties. Here you can see the computer name. Server name means the name of the computer where SQL Server is installed. This is my computer name. Or simply you can give dot. You can simply give dot or IP address. Okay, now you can give IP address or dot or computer name, server name. Okay, now I'll give dot. Next, we can connect it. Now, why this form came, it is asking you permission. Now I want to create the database. I want to write the queries. I want to create the table. I want to insert the record, delete the record. I want to perform some operations. So in order to perform some operations, first I will open my SQL Server Management Studio and it will ask to fill this form. First one, it is asking me, please give your server name, in which computer your SQL Server was installed. Local server, you can give simply dot or local. Remote server, you can give IP address. Without filling this form, you will not get permission to work with SQL Server. And it is asking you to give the authentication. Authentication is a process of checking the user credentials. User credentials means username and password. Any user who is having username and password, then that user is called as authenticated user. You all are authenticated users of Gmail because you log into Gmail with username and password. You all are authenticated users of Facebook. Is it clear? Any user who is login with username and password, then that user is called as authenticated user. So here also it is asking, you can select, you want to connect to SQL. Now we are connecting to SQL Server by using Management Studio. It is asking, do you want to connect with Windows authentication or SQL Server authentication? If you want to connect using Windows authentication, no need to give the username and password, because by default you are the valid user of Windows operating system. At the time of login to the computer only, you have given username and password. No, Windows operating system authentication is enough to directly connect with SQL Server. No, I want to provide security for my database, so I will log in with SQL Server authentication. Then you have to give the username and password. My username I'll give SA system admin. Password I'll give some password you can set. At the time of installation of SQL Server, you will get one option called mixed mode. Okay, na? There if you select that option, you will get what? You can set your own password. Default username is SA. SA means system admin. Oracle username Scott, password Tiger. Okay, now click on connect. So successfully I connected to my SQL Server. Now I got the permission. I can create the database. I can create the tables. I can write the queries, insert the records, delete the records. All these things I can do. But one more point I want to tell, before connecting to this database server, your server must be on. Backgroundly, I told what the SQL Server is also running. Okay, na? Two softwares are required, I told now. One is SQL Server, other one is SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, SQL Server is a database software which is used to manage databases. SQL Server Management Studio, it is an editor which is used to write what? Queries. Do you have any doubts? Until now, you can ask me. I will clarify and again I will continue. Could not find, so asking. Is SQL Server will be inbuilt with SQL Server Management Studio? Yeah. Actually, SQL Server you will install, along with that Management Studio also will come. Did you understood? Which one is more secured, Windows authentication or SQL Server authentication? Mostly in companies, they will use SQL Server authentication. Generally, when you work in the company, what they will do, SQL Server is kept in remote server. In the developer laptop, only Management Studio will be there. Companies will give you the server names, usernames, and passwords. With that credentials, you have to connect to the server. Did you understand, everyone? Are you following? In companies, everything is in default password is SA, username is also SA. If you want, you can change the username and password. So what about server type options? Yeah, we'll discuss. Can we use MySQL server? This is SQL server is separate. MySQL is separate. I have Oracle 11G and SQL Plus. Yes. See what I am telling. You have Maruti car and Audi car. Difference is in what quality. Whatever the concepts that you learn that is available in Maruti car, the same will be available in Audi car also. Okay, similarly, SQL Server, Oracle, no differences. Syntax differences will be there. Syllabus is same. Whatever you learn here, the same syllabus will be there in Oracle also. Online tool means actually in companies you must know how to read that particular queries. You have to write the queries. No online tool. It is online tool will be available for fixed operations. Queries will be written